Okay, this is 18D. This is some reactions. I've already mentioned a lot of them to you. The first one is combustion. You've learned this from other chapters, but combustion is the combination of a hydrocarbon with oxygen gas, and it forms CO2 and H2O. So it always forms CO2 and H2O. So a lot of times, like on the AP exam, they'll say pentane, pentane is burned or combusted. Write the reaction, or how much CO2 comes out and stuff. And you say, well, they didn't give me the products. Well, you don't need the products because all combustion reactions come out to CO2 and H2O if it's just a pure hydrocarbon, just hydrogen and carbon. So a combustion reaction would be any hydrocarbon plus O2 gas makes CO2 and water, and that is also an oxidation reduction reaction because remember, O2 would have a 0 oxidation number, and on the other side it's part of CO2 and H2O, so it'll have a -2. So that would have been oxygen is reduced in that case. So think of all these things as you go along. Next are condensation reactions. Well, condensation, you think of water, right? It condenses out of the sky and dew. So anyway, it's something that comes out with water. And I've already mentioned esterification, where you take a carboxylic acid and an alcohol and you put them together. You usually heat them up and stir them for a while, and you get you'll get an ester. And besides the ester, you get water. The other one would be something like saponification, like I talked about, making fatty acid salts. If you take fatty acids and you put them together with something like sodium hydroxide, an acid, it's almost, it's exactly like doing the reaction in acids and bases, which is great. Popped out of my head, it'll come back in. But when you take an acid and a base, a neutralization reaction, yes. You take an acid, a base, and you come out with a salt and water. And the water that comes out, it's kind of like a condensation reaction. So fatty acid salts are the result of saponification. Then you get polymers. Polymers are put together with are a condensation reaction, because what happens is polymers are long chains of hydrocarbons. And that's what they make rayon with, and nylon, and all the things that make fabric. They make long threads, and then they put them together as cloth. So those are types of condensation reaction, when they put the shorter hydrocarbons together and make long chains. Substitution reaction is when something replaces. So it's, if you heat it enough and work at it, you can replace hydrogen with chlorine and things like that to make different kinds of polymers. The addition reactions is when the bonds break. Remember I talked about unsaturated? If it's unsaturated, you can break the chemical bonds and add more hydrogens or something else to it. And an example of that would be hydrogenation, where, like I said, hydrogenation thickens oil. That's where you get, if it says partially hydrogenated vegetable oil or hydrogenated oils, that's when they turn them to solids so that you can scoop them out easier and they last longer. All right, that is just a bunch of your equations. I suggest that you read the rest of the chapter, because all I have assigned is up to part D. So read the rest of the chapter, and please go ahead and read chapter 20 about nuclear chemistry. It's very interesting. So this is it. Thank you.